There it goes. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining us, as always, is your co-host, Jim.
Been a hot year so far.
Ambassador Jim.
That's right. I'm not the Klingon ambassador.
Oh my god!
It's a euphemism.
Your co-host, Hunter.
I'm here for the ride. Let's do this.
And your co-host, Spaz, with a little pet.
Yes, I do have the pet.
Hey friends, yeah, we're just shooting the crap tonight. We're gonna spend an hour just hanging out and talking about games, talking about life. I keep looking at the camera even though it's not on. It's a reflex now. Because that's what I do when I stream. It's just, I'm talking to you, I'm looking at you, which is the camera. But, I think almost, Jim, are you in the game? I don't remember if you play Star Trek Online.
No, I don't believe in Star Trek.
Oh.
If it was Star Wars, then I would be down.
We could do Galaxies another time. What is happening here? What is
I have a couple of clones of myself that I can
and they're just
spawn into existence.
And they're just doing the shepherd. It looks like they're just doing the.
I just looked in my inventory and I've got Targ fur earmuffs. Where the hell did I get these?
I don't know.
You got them during the winter event.
Targ fur earmuffs. I've got 4 of them. Look at that.
So sometimes, friends, how are you all? Sometimes, friends, we just don't feel like having a topic. Sometimes. My brain is so fried, I just sometimes can't even come up with a topic. And people have actually said they like when we just ramble. They enjoy when we just shoot the crap. So why not just have a day where we meet on Quarks, well, 3 of us, and Gul Dukat.
Dukat! No! He's back! He's back!
Oh, no. Wait, no spoilers.
Dukat is like the Voldemort of Star Trek, I guess.
No, my wife is outside the house, so I keep the phone unsilenced when she is not in the house, just in case.
Oh,
you know, she's got a health condition, so you never know.
What? Being alive?
No, she's got the diabetes. She's got the diabetes.
Wilfred Brimley.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. She's got that. So,
Well, bless her heart.
Yeah. So anyway, folks, sometimes we just want to hang out with not only with each other, but with you guys in the chat. So,
how y'all doing?
Yeah, that's the big question. Hey, SG Gold. Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? So let's go around the table and catch up. How are we doing? Jim, how are you doing?
I'm moderately fabulous.
Okay. That's probably better than a lot of people right now. That's probably better than a lot of people. Hunter, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I think it's been a weird year. Like it's only June. Yeah, I mean, we're
halfway through. We're halfway through.
Yeah. So we're getting ready to come to the end of the year of Hell Part 1, and we're getting ready to hopefully the follow-up episode's got a good ending.
Oh my god, right?
But I mean, having said all of that, like, there's still, I mean, all things considered, there's still that many things to be like thankful for, honestly. With everything being rough, I mean, you can still find a lot of good, and I think that's why we're all here, right? Because we like games, we like space games, and man, this last week, or I guess last week was supposed to be E3 week, and we definitely got a lot of really cool like gaming news, a lot of really cool announcements, and we're still getting some even like this week and next week. So I mean, there's still a lot of good out there.
Dude, you're getting an X-wing.
Yeah,
I figured maybe that's what we'll talk about next week. I thought is that once we get more information about Star Wars Squadrons.
I gotta see that gameplay.
We gotta see some gameplay.
So Thursday is when the Squadrons gameplay stuff is supposed to come out, and they've got a lot of information. They have a lot of information on their Steam page right now that has gotten my attention, but that gameplay is where it counts, and we need to see that. So, like, what they're saying right now, the things that I'm hearing right now is you'll be able. It's a first-person experience, right? There's going to be a storyline campaign that you'll be able to play through, which is good. We like single player stuff around here.
We really do.
And it's gonna have multiplayer in the form of 5v5 stuff, but I think that's not gonna be just 5v5 stuff. They said that in like an emphatic stance, but there's some other things that they mentioned that makes me think that there's gonna be PvE co-op as well.
Well, the two keys for me is they said HOTAS support, and they said there's single player. And at that point, there's hope for the future.
Right. The HOTAS support's a key element because they also said you'll be able to change the configuration of your power outputs to, differentiate things. If this, I'm telling you right now, if this is anything like XVT but like on steroids,
I'd be happy.
I'm going to be
happy. And someone told me that the people making it, I don't know what the source of this is, but I was told second or third hand that the folks making Star Wars Squadrons are fans of X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. So
thank God.
I am hopeful.
The case. If that's the case, then I heard HOTAS at one point and I said, "Holy crap." I heard it's a first person experience. I said, "Holy crap." So
now, why can't they give us what we really want, and that's Jedi Starfighter 2? I want to shoot lightning out of my Starfighter.
Oh, jeez.
They've also mentioned customization. They've also mentioned the ability to shunt power, or at least when the trailer, as Shogun just brought up, focused on the diverting power to engines thing, I was like, oh, okay, so that's kind of speaking my language. That's kind of speaking my language.
They didn't just share that in the trailer. They specifically mention it in their, like, what you'll be able to do. So the gameplay is going to be crucial come Thursday, and I think if knock on wood, I think this could be an opportunity. This could finally be the opportunity that EA needed to show everybody that they can. Now, like, that being said, Battlefront 2 had a decent single player experience. It's not the best single player experience. Like, there's been other Star Wars games that have had way better single player experiences, but I mean, if you can get Battlefront 2 on sale for a decent price, it is worth it alone just for the single player experience.
I'm waiting for $10.
Now,
that's what I'm waiting for.
Now,
$10.
That's not a bad price. Now, having said that too, the multiplayer is fun to an extent, but it doesn't sit well with me when you consider multiplayer Star Wars games of the past had greater customization options for communities, for, like, you could modifications and all kinds of, like, cool things that you could do with old first-person shooter Star Wars games of the past. That's not to say that what they built was bad. It just was not up most of our alleys here in this little corner. And then Jedi Fallen Order. Sorry, I was gonna say Jedi Fallen Order was a decent game. It wasn't. It was not very compelling to me.
Right.
There was not enough. I didn't feel like there was enough meat there to dig into.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I was really wanting more was an RPG style, not necessarily like KOTOR, but just some kind of more depthful RPG. It was kind of like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare in that everybody, for some reason, in the Call of Duty space hated that game, but for those of us who don't play Call of Duty games but love space games, we're like, this is great. But yet, at the same time, that's like an 8-hour game tops. And you're kind of wondering, like, man, I really wish I could have had more of this kind of game. And that's how Jedi Fallen Order is, where you're just like, this is fun, and I like what they're, what I can do here, but like it's only, again, like an 8-hour game, and then you're done, and it's just like, well, cool, well, now what? what's left to do? And people, have told me like, well, you can go back and visit other planets, and I'm just like, yeah, but why though? Like, I've already finished the story. What's the point? So. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm both excited and very, very trepidatious because, I mean, you can pre-order it now, folks. It's $40, and you get skins and decals. Woo! Like, what? This is not why I play. I mean, I don't want a gold TIE fighter. All TIE fighters should be gray, and that's it. All X-Wings are red and white. I mean, there should be... I don't want a goddamn purple X-Wing.
Here's the thing. The other thing that they talked about is you'll be able to upgrade your ship through playing the game via you'll be able to get weapon upgrades, not just like cosmetic stuff.
Yeah.
You'll actually be able to get, unlocks and upgrades by playing, which I like that because that means that, and they said that was maybe I'm misunderstood. But if memory serves, and I could be wrong about this, so take this with a grain of salt, that's the only way to get upgrades for your ships is by playing the game. If that is the case, if that is indeed true, then I'm also applauding EA for finally freaking getting it. Now, the other thing to mention about this is it's also going to be $40 at launch. What? That's unheard of. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's really unheard of, given that most games that are coming out as brand new EA type games are $60 for the base game and then another $60 for the season pass. It's they don't screw around with the money. So
I wonder if no one bought those things and that's why they're like, okay, let's lower the price a bit. Maybe we'll get more people in the door.
I think they realized that they were starting to sell more copies when they had the lower prices on these other because I think when Battlefront 2 started lowering its price, they started seeing a lot more people get into it. But then again, the experience that I've had with the multiplayer in Battlefront 2 has been click on multiplayer and then it just randomly matchmakes you and then that's it, you're in. If you're in a party with people, it'll pull you all into a match. There's no real depth in customization there with that and how you want to play, who you want to play with.
Yeah, that's why I love X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. You can tweak all of that crap. It's so great. We got to set aside a Saturday where we just plow through a bunch of XVT.
Weissman said he'd be willing to come back.
I pinged him on Facebook and I haven't heard back, so I don't know. I don't want to be a nag.
Nag, please. I'll nag with you. You just CC me on those messages and I'll start nagging.
Oh, Dave!
Because I talked to him. I was in the Discord server not too long ago for
In the Black?
Wasn't it In the Black? Yeah. I was hanging out with them. They had one of their community nights where they're doing game tests on their new game, and I was like, hey man, I hear you're willing to come back to the Space Game Junkies and play with us. And he's like, yeah, I just got to figure out a time. So
yeah, all right,
I'll nag with you, man.
All right, I'll ping him again. Yeah, you ping him if you're on that Discord. Ping him, there too, because I mean, if we can get him in there, and even 3 or 4 of us, because it supports up to 8 people, that'd be amazing. But yeah, we'll probably talk about Squadrons next week because that's the bit. You know what makes me sad though? I see the a lot of space game developers on Twitter are oh god, they're making another space game. What's that going to do for us? Absolutely nothing. Don't worry about it. People are still going to buy your space game. I mean, come on.
That's true.
Don't stress.
If we're talking about game updates, here's something funny. So this last week, I guess it was either the PC Gamer Show or it was that
something. Was so weird. By the way.
Yeah. Well, we'll get back to that in a second. But there was some game show announcement thing where they showed some Elite Dangerous stuff. They showed the new Elite Dangerous thing.
Yeah.
And I was chuckling because it was well, we already saw this trailer 2 weeks ago, and it's their new.
Wait, they showed the same. They showed the same. Sorry, they showed the same trailer At the
right. So the people with the people like you can walk, you know. It was the exact same trailer that's already been out for like a couple of weeks, and I think this was like the Microsoft or Xbox thing or something. I don't remember what specifically this was, but they showed it again, and I was like really shocked, and I was like, so Elite Dangerous has been out for quite a while. We've been really disappointed in its development and its, you know, what it's brought to the table. I mean, that's not to necessarily rag on those guys, but I mean, like, it's really been rough. And we got an update from another game that's still in early access called Empyrean Galactic Survival.
Yes. Which I think we're doing co-op of next week.
Yes. And the trailer for their Alpha 12 dropped, and it is massive.
It's huge.
And
it's huge.
I was looking at all of like the list of things that they've added and they've changed and they've upgraded, and the list is just exhaustive, and all the features, massive solar system that you can go and explore. I was like, you can combine Space Engineers and Elite Dangerous, and you would still not have the same kind of content or the amount of content that this game has. It is insane. Insane.
I
don't understand it. Like, I just, you know, it's a small. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, I think it's going to be, once it hits 1.0, it might be the game to beat based on their trajectory of just getting more and more awesome.
Well, shut up, Ducat. But like, you know, it's I'm not a Bajoran.
I am.
Yeah, you are. It's just, are you saying that she's Ducat? Is your Nicole's Ducat? Is that what?
No. My wife's text tone, you know, is the Rousdower one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Rousdower. What I find interesting about this is, even though Empyrean has been in development for a long time and it's still in early access, just the amount of their development cycle has just been so absolutely robust that it's like every year they put out a major like addition or some like game-changing thing to their game. And this Alpha 12 is probably by far the biggest like change to that game I think I have ever seen.
Yeah, doesn't it add like a full-on galaxy map now and all kinds of stuff?
Well, and what's interesting about that was I was messing with it earlier this year, and I was looking at some of the features, and I realized that they actually had multiple solar systems as a feature in the previous version. I was like, oh, this is cool, but it was like 5, right? Now it's like you can only jump a maximum of 30 light years to get where you're going. So if you want to get to a star system, like, you got to plot courses now. And you can bookmark places. You can actually bookmark places, and you can install. So it's got a No Man's Sky element where you can install teleporters on different planets. So like you can actually, but you still have to have them powered, and you still have to have all this other stuff. So there's that element of like a No Man's Sky thing in here. There's an actual like. So this is so the crazy thing about this is none of this stuff is like games as a service. Like No Man's Sky is games as a service, right? When you play, you're connecting to their servers and interacting with stuff. With this is all done by the player. So when you can play in a solo game by yourself, you can set up a co-op game where you can have friends come and join you at a limited number, or you can set up dedicated servers and customize your community experience the way that you want it. It's been so long since, and I really want to meet this guy and talk to this guy, because it's amazing to see that a team that is dedicated to developing this game is just really making it for the people, like for communities, for players, for people who really want to get in there and immerse themselves. And I applaud that, because so much is about continuing that revenue, which I can understand. You know, like I can understand that from a AAA thing. They've figured out the way to continually like have you throw your wallet at a game, and then they bring out the one the next year, and that's the new hotness, and then you throw your money for the stuff at that, yada yada yada. Like I get it, you know, shark cards in GTA, whatever. but like, you know, when I look at something like this and I can see it, I'm just like, what happened to Space Engineers that they couldn't do what this is doing? What happened to Elite Dangerous? That, you know, the way that they built their game is just so completely different, and just at every turn, it's just a huge grind fest to get anywhere. And it's just about, and you know, the only point in some of these major games in there is just to grind. But like you look at something like Empyrean, they actually have built in a real economy system that you can utilize. There's actual NPCs of like different NPC factions, some that you can trade with that actually have trading depots, some that are actually hostile and will come and attack you. Like it's this whole mess of an actual ecosystem built into this game that's not just, well, let's try and survive and build and build some things and see how long we can last. It's just like, well, no, you can do so much more than that. Like you can build out a real game into this. I also look at something like, you know, Dual Universe, which is trying to be an MMO that's doing all of this stuff. And I can't talk too much about it, but their alpha is not giving me any promise.
Oh, really?
The stabilization, well, it's just because like I go and I play, and like I'll play for like a couple of days, and I'm just like, I'm not impressed with anything that I'm seeing. Like the building stuff isn't anything new to me, because I can build in all of these other games. There's nothing about it that's appealing, but like their optimization is just horrible. And yeah, it's really awkward. And then you know, of course, then you look at the other big awkward in the room, which is Star Citizen, and it turns out they've like raised over $300 million. I'm just like, man, that's like Avengers Endgame money. Like that is stupid. You know, it. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's weird. Like you see these games taking their time with their early access, like Pulsar, like Empyrean, but they're making such good progress that you're like, shouldn't everyone go slow like this? But then like you have Elite, whoa. You have Elite where it's like they released almost 6 years ago. And
I am your father.
They've barely done anything. It feels like they've barely done anything since. Oh yeah, another game taking its time that's coming along very nicely is Star Sector. Thank you, Shogun. And that makes me think, like, should developers have a longer runway, a longer end game in sight, rather than just getting it out and then doing post-release support? That's what Elite's doing. And it's not going well for them. You know.
Well, yeah. There's a balance there, in my opinion, right? So what confuses me is you know, the feature creep that is Star Citizen. I feel like that should have been a game that was released a long time ago that then added things over time to the game as like expansions or something like that. Because like,
I wish they would have done that. Like,
Well, you look at any game, any modern MMO, right? Look at World of Warcraft, how long that damn thing's been around. You look at EVE Online, where like they put out a game, right? Here's the game. The game is this. Then they put out maybe some like major update or something like that. Change some game mechanics, maybe add some quest line stuff and some you know, new loot. And then you have like a major expansion, which tacks on like a whole new region of the game, all new story stuff, increases your level count, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on from there, to where it's just like all this content, all of these new features over time. You know, these things continue to progress and like get added to the game. Like there's so much content that's in the game, for example with World of Warcraft now, that was nowhere even remotely close into the vanilla version of the game. There's same thing with like EVE, same thing with, I mean, you look at the evolution of what happened with Star Wars Galaxies over a period of time. Like they, like 2 years in, they up and flipped the switch of the entirety of the game completely. You know what I mean? Like They changed the game mechanics of that game overnight, and it's just, I think in an instance of like Star Citizen or even Elite Dangerous, the problems that I think people are having with it is like they don't focus on a core thing and then put it out and then really dive in hard with the continuing content. It's like, you know, with Star Citizen, they're the exact same thing, and they're the exact same thing on two opposite sides of the coin, right? So like you have Star Citizen, which is not going to release for any time soon, right? And they still keep trying to pump content and make it amazing. Like, why do you need to put prison system into your game, right? Like, it's not even a game yet. Like, why are you adding a prison like ecosystem into this? Like, that could be something
really loved
later.
Someone really loved The Dark Knight Returns. Apparently.
And so there's that, right? And then you look at something like Elite Dangerous, where it's just like, we put out only our core and we're gonna sit on that. And then like a year later, there's like, here you can go land on some moons and you get like a little buggy. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a couple other ships.
Now they got fleet carriers. Does anyone care?
Right, and then the big thing, right, exactly what you said. So then they come out with this big new mechanic that's fleet carriers, and then they're stupid expensive. They take a lot to maintain, and it's just like, when I'm not even online, they're not even there. So it's like, I don't understand. I mean, seriously, dude, it's like I'm speechless on like the understanding of like why did you do this? Like, why did you go this route? You know, it just kind of doesn't make a lot of sense.
I think what really hurt them, and Shogun alludes to this, is they couldn't decide whether to be single player or multiplayer, so they tried to do both. And
So that is a problem, and I think Jim has spoken to this on numerous occasions, and maybe the rest of us have too, but I know Jim's been pretty vocal about this, is like, if you have a single player character, that is where it stays. You don't use it online, you don't use it in private, like in like a private thing. This character is only for single player. And I completely 100% agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
yeah.
If you're gonna have an online component, who's to say you don't just go into private or like solo all the time, getting like the hottest thing in the world, only to go into online every now and then just to go grief a couple of guys, and then when you don't like it, when maybe you've met your match and then you do a disconnect or like a random DC. Like, I've seen this kind of stuff happen where, like, you know, guys try and go and grief other people, and then they like grief the wrong person, and then they start getting killed, and they go into a disconnect so they don't lose anything. It's just really obnoxious the way their systems have been implemented, and it makes it like, what's even the point of going into public in the first place?
Yeah, I don't know why you even would ever go into public.
Like, I mean, because there's no player economy. The only point of going into public is to like do PvP. But like, even then, like, why don't you just go join a community and join one of their private sessions? Like, Space Game Junkie has a private instance that we could all go play on if we wanted to. You got to get invited to it. It's like, you know, you manage your community that way, and then that way, you know, if you're gonna be in here, if you're gonna grief, we're gonna kick you out of the group. You know,
and the community, because you know that's how we roll.
Right. You know, if you're gonna be an asshole, like, we don't want you around. Now, if you decide to change, then we'll revisit the issue. But it's just like, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about Eve is like the thing with Eve is there's at least systems in place to where you've got better chances of dealing with things, because, you know, if you get ganked, you usually get ganked by like a crew of people. You know, it takes more effort. You know, and the consequences are a little bit like, people have to deal with the consequences a little bit more. As we're like, you know, in Elite, man, like, someone comes and like blows you up, and then like that's it. They just warp off. You know, see you later. You know, there's no player interaction with an economy. It just does. And then I look over here at Empyrean and I'm going like, hey, how's your mother doing? Like, this is awesome. Like, you know, let's go hang out over here. You know, let's build a community around this, because this is cool. You know, we'll build a spaceship for Brian, and then he can go out there and have fun. And if it gets messed up, we'll like repair it for him. You know, he doesn't have to build it.
He did actually fix a lot of the space flight stuff. This latest version, because you can put it.
Oh yeah.
If you go into the control panel for the ship, then you can switch it to pilot mode, which then makes it actually fly like Freelancer. You know, it chases after the thing. So some things are, and if you hit I, it turns the inertial dampener off. So you can hit the thrusters and then let off the key, and you'll just coast forever. So
yeah, dude, he's whoever this team is has been doing really great work, and I applaud them tremendously.
The thing they really, really got to fix is the mass of the ship and calculating the amount of thrust that is pointed to actually turn the ship, because you can take something that's as big as an aircraft carrier and just like spin it around real fast, and it's like maybe not that. I think the bigger the ship, the slower it should turn, and then they're pretty fixed then.
Well, anyway, so
a hell of a lot better than it was. The only thing I still need out of that game is wheels, because there's no such thing as a wheeled vehicle, and we saw in Space Engineers why wheels are problematic, because they explode the whole vehicle sometimes. But they avoided that physics problem by just making everything hover. But it would kind of be nice to actually have like wheeled buggies. But please God, don't remake that motorcycle though. Oh.
Well, yeah, there's some potential in the future for some stuff with that, but like, considering how they handle planets versus space, I think is rather important in that notion. And planets are really, I don't know. It just amazes me when you see a passionate team doing what they're doing with something like Empyrean. It's just like every time they put out an update like this, you're just like, wow, they did what? That's cool. Look at that. It's same thing can be said about Deep Rock Galactic too. Like every time we played that game, it's like, here's a new thing.
After we played it, maybe just that night, they pushed another update.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, and it just kind of makes me wonder, because like you look at this kind of stuff and you're just like, you barely see any updates or any information out of companies like Elite Dangerous, with what's going on with that. You just get one major news announcement a year, it feels like, and even then it's so underwhelming. Well, speaking of game announcements, man, that Everspace 2 trailer was pretty hot. I was pretty impressed.
I'm so excited about that one.
By the way, they also pushed the Gamescom demo that we got access to. That is the demo that's currently available.
Oh, the prototype?
For Everspace 2.
The prototype thing? Yeah. That's still what, 3-4 hours of really great stuff right there.
I still have it on my desktop here.
It's just such a tiny...
Alpha backers are getting their access pretty soon. I didn't back for Alpha.
I don't think I did either.
Those who backed for it. Yeah, those who backed for Alpha access should be getting theirs pretty soon.
That's exciting. Yeah, that's one of my most anticipated games right there.
Something we didn't mention though with all of this though, with all these game changes with the Star Wars stuff coming out, is EA is back on Steam, baby. Like
that was a shock.
They've brought their games back to Steam, and not just like new stuff. Like they're bringing their like older stuff. So like you can finally get Mass Effect 3 on Steam. You could get 1 and 2, but now you can finally get 3.
You can complete your collection. But they're doing Mass Effect 3 remastered. Like, remember we talked about the HD remaster plague that's going on? Mass Effect 3 is going to be the next.
I think the whole trilogy
it's been rumored. It's been rumored, not confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I'd be okay with that though.
It's likely the
1 and
original
2,
trilogy.
I would say need it, or they could use a good remaster. 3's been with when 3 was released. I don't know if it needs a remaster necessarily, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, Shogun, you have to link it to your Origin account, but like, man, like I still have to do that with I can get Halo on Steam. But like I still have to link it to my Microsoft account. Like it's there's still all of these other things that I have to do, and it doesn't really bother me. Like I don't mind buying a game on a store that has to link to another account or potentially even another launcher. It really doesn't bother me, because here's the thing. So like, let's take the Division 2 for example. I got it on the Epic Game Store because it was cheaper, but it links to my Uplay account.
Yep.
So it's now on my Uplay account, so I don't even have to touch the Epic Game Store,
which is great,
in order to play it. So like, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with that, because it doesn't mean I have to like launch this through this and then launch it through that. That gives me more options to buy these games during different times of the year when different sales are potentially happening on the different storefronts. I'm okay with that. That doesn't bother me. And the fact that now they are back on Steam and I think people like that option. Like, they like to have the option of being able to say, hey, I can buy it over here too. And I've always thought it was weird that Origin decided to go its own route, but I can understand why with the way the price cuts happen. But you know what? If it's gonna mean that they're gonna be making continue to make money, because now it's a new place for them to sell games that maybe they weren't going to get by selling it through Origin. So
yeah.
Also, yes, I completely agree with that. Declunkifying Mass Effect 1 would be excellent, because I think that's one of the main reasons why people tell other people to avoid that, is because of just how clunky the first one is.
I only got like half an hour in, and I was like, no, I'm out.
And 2 is dramatically better. Like, I don't even. It's shocking, but it's dramatically better.
I love 2. I'm really enjoying. I like 2 more than 3. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
As do a lot of us.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I've said before, I liked most of the journey through 3, despite its shortcomings. Yeah. It's not as good as 2.
It's
but
major shortcomings.
I still enjoyed. Yeah, I still like most of the way through it.
I'll tell you guys what, I think that apartment thing I did during the last stream was probably my favorite thing out of either of the games.
That's why I wanted you to save it for almost last.
Yeah,
because it is the love letter to the trilogy.
It's so great. It's got all the great writing, all the great characters. Shepard.
And I see it as the true ending. I see it as the true ending to the trilogy. Because you can actually do it after the game technically has ended. But it makes more sense to do it beforehand.
Right. No, I really enjoyed that, and I would, if they declunkified Mass Effect 1, I would actually probably give it another whirl, but not.
Oh, and what's interesting too is like Mass Effect Andromeda is also on Steam, and for $15, honestly, it's a fun RPG. It's not anywhere close to 1, 2, or 3, but for $15, it's actually a pretty good RPG, and I enjoyed it. Now that they fixed most of the issues, at least when I played it, all the issues were fixed. So. And they're getting ready. They're doing the testing for Halo 3, whatever they call the flight tests for Master Chief Collection. So Halo 3.
I gotta actually start playing that.
I'm really excited because they've been making a lot of effort to get the PC versions of these games really working well, and I'm really excited because the Halo 3 and ODST and Reach are some of the best games out there, and the fact that they're actually getting ready to bringing Firefight for the first time to the ODST stuff, so I'm really excited about that. So.
Yeah, I gotta start playing it just to see what the hubbub is all about. I haven't touched any of it. Like, I have it on my desktop and I stare at it. I'm like, there's such a weight behind it that I look at it, I'm just like, no. I should just dive in. I should just dive the frack in. Because, you said the co-op is great, and, so that's reason enough to give it a shot.
Do this for Inky real quick. Be right back.
And when you buy the collection, because I'm probably I might cancel the the Game Pass thing, and just buy the collection outright. I don't know.
Good.
Sure yet.
If you buy the collection now, all of the stuff that's in it, like when it comes out, you'll just get it. So
yeah,
like
that's what I'm
ODST 3 and 4 aren't part of the PC version yet, but like when they release them, they'll just be in your
right. And with the big Steam sale coming up, it might be a good time to buy in.
Yeah, memory. I definitely think ODST is probably my favorite of the Halo games, which is funny because you don't even play a Spartan, like. You know, you play a ODST, you orbital drop shock trooper. Like you're a trooper, and it's definitely got like a like almost like a film noir thing kind of going on with it.
Which one is that? Is that the first? Is that the third?
ODST is technically like an expansion to 3, but it's like a standalone expansion. So like, it came out as part of like an addition to 3. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
And all that's going to be included. And all that's going to be included with the Halo thing.
Oh yeah. So. I'm a big fan. I just, I think back fondly on the Halo stuff because it was one of those games where, it's a great co-op experience. Playing through. I remember summers in college just playing through the co-op experience with a buddy of mine, and it was just a really good time. And I loved the original trilogy. I think Halo 1 through 3, ODST, and Reach are probably the pinnacle of the Halo series. 4 was okay. I didn't mind 4 as much, but I didn't think it was as good as it could have been, especially with the way they ended it. Because the ending to 4 was probably for me on the same level as the ending to 3. I'm not going to spoil it yet for you, Brian, but the ending to 3 on Mass Effect to like the ending of 3 or the ending of 4 in Halo was just like, it's a big what the fuck.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Was 4 the last Halo game?
No, 5 was, and 5 was just like I'm not ever gonna buy 5. I had because I've got the Game Pass stuff. I was able to play through 5 through that, but I didn't like 5 that much because I'm not a fan of the Locke character. I was really disappointed, and his character's just not convincing for me, as where they have Nathan Fillion in there, and Nathan Fillion played the commanding officer for the ODST group in the ODST game, and he eventually becomes a Spartan. They make him a Spartan after that, and he's on Locke's squad. But I thought it would have been so cool to see the expansion of an existing character and that kind of leadership role. But there was just something about the character of Locke that just did not compel me or I found interesting at all, because he was just kind of thrown in there as this like brand new character with like a huge ass chip on his shoulder, and you're just like, dude, where is this coming from? Like, yeah, I don't know. And it was weird. So I don't know. It's kind of like why they did a short mini-series TV show called what was that thing called? Where it starred the same guy who voices Locke. It's the same guy who plays as Cage. I think on the Netflix Marvel show. Is it Cage, right? Is that what that's called?
I don't know. Luke Cage?
I think so. I don't have anything wrong with the actor. I just don't like this the character of Locke. Yeah, so he plays Luke Cage in the show Luke Cage that was on Netflix. Mike Coulter, not a bad guy. He's definitely done better work in my opinion. So I don't really like him as Locke. But I'm trying to remember. I think it was like Halo. It was called Halo Nightfall. That's what it was, and it was a very short, like 5-6 episode miniseries that they did. And it wasn't very interesting in my opinion. I definitely think that the Forward Unto Dawn mini movie that they did, that was kind of like the precursor to the Halo 4 game, was way more interesting. I liked that one a lot more because it kind of shows some of the backstory and it kind of shows more too of like the NSC and what things were like for regular recruits, and there's definitely been a lot of like Halo featurettes that I thought were pretty cool. There was an animated one that was pretty cool that dealt a lot with Dr. Halsey. This is all getting deep into like Halo lore stuff. You could spend a whole night on that. But speaking of like sci-fi stuff, I'm really looking forward to this new Dune movie coming out, man. I really hope. I was talking to Jim about it the other night, because I was having a hard time remembering certain things from the book, and so we did a like brief stint dive into the sandworms and what they were like in the book, and hoping that they actually kind of keep more true to it, because both the Lynch film and the miniseries that was on the Sci-Fi Channel kind of didn't quite get it right. So we're kind of hoping that maybe they show them in better light in this new version. So
I hope so.
Speaking of which, I got Emperor Battle for Dune installed. It's working.
And it's working.
Man, that's crazy. So
that's amazing.
Spaz sent me this video of this guy, which by the way,
I saw that video.
I don't know if you saw, Spaz, but I thanked you because I'm now subscribed to that guy's channel.
He's got a great channel.
It is great.
Okay.
Great content. Great content.
I have to look at how he got it working.
So
I love that game.
Yeah.
I have the discs. I actually have the disc still. So
yeah,
I installed from that. It took a little bit of work because my CD drive couldn't read the CDs properly. So there's a little patch that they actually put out in order to get it to do a partial install from the hard drive, and it worked out fine that way.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the guy's channel, he does a lot of like really cool like retro games or abandonware, quote unquote abandonware style games. He covers them really in depth, and his what sold me is not just the video that Spaz posted, but I went to the guy's main channel, and he's got his trailer video to like entice people to subscribe. And his trailer video is what sold it for me, for his channel. I was like, man, I was like, dude, I almost want to message the guy and be like, you need to come hang out in the Space Game Junkie community because you'd fit right in. But so Spaz linked that video, and I started watching it. Mind you, I have not played this game, or at least I don't remember ever playing this game.
Oh, it's a great game.
I'm watching the cutscenes, and I'm like, Michael Dorn?
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
Michael Dorn.
I was like, that's awesome. And not just that, but the guy from the Harkonnen guy I'm familiar with too. He was the therapist from Office Space who has the heart attack.
Oh yes, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of that guys in the FMV sequences in a lot of Westwood games.
It's amazing, and I that's when I like started thinking. I was like, man, games had so much cheesy little charm to them back in the day that I miss that kind of stuff, and it was just really cool. I was like, man, freaking Michael Dorn in a Dune video game, how awesome is that?
It's a great game too. It's one of those metamap RTS games like Dark Crusade and Battle for Middle Earth, where you have the map, and you choose where you go next, and that's where your battle is, and everything. Yeah, it's probably my favorite. And that even
influences which of the sub houses you can get to join you, because you can get up to 2 of them joining you during the course of the game.
That's right.
So you can get the Sardaukar, the Fremen, House Talaxu, or House Ix. You can get 2 of them to join you, and the others are going to be against you, typically.
I'm going to have to try and get that reinstalled, because I have that game.
What was that other CNC Dune-like game? Was that Dune 2000 or what was that?
Yeah,
there was Dune 2000.
Yeah, there was Dune 2.
That's the one I've played. I need to play this other one.
And there's Dune 2000, which is Dune 2000 is basically just like a reskin of Dune 2, if I remember correctly.
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's really not much of a muchness to that one, but Emperor Battle for Dune I think is my favorite of all of them because of it's just such a great fleshed out. I love RTS games with meta maps, so there I'm already sold right there. But it's just a great game in and of itself. It was the last one too, I think, right? Wasn't it the last of the Dune games, I think? I think it was. Not exactly.
There was an adventure game that was made after that.
What?
But yeah, there was. It was PC.
Okay.
It was a PC game that was an adventure game, a third-person adventure kind of thing.
Oh boy.
It wasn't very good, to be quite honest. But
really,
yeah, it wasn't very good. But yeah, of the Dune RTS games, yeah, that was the last one.
I think it's the best one. A lot, but Dune 2, say what you want about Dune 2. It got the whole genre rolling, really. So
and it was only called Dune 2 because there was the Virgin Interactive made adventure game, which was actually a strategy game. And
was it?
And yes, it was because not only did you have to get the Fremen farming spice for you, but you eventually get them to fight as an army, and you send them against the Harkonnen fortresses to the north.
What?
And
see, I thought it was an adventure game. I thought it was just a plain old
an adventure
game.
It is.
Yeah,
but it also has the hybrid of.
The game is straight up just called Frank Herbert's Dune. Like that's the name of the game. I think is what I'm looking at.
It's it's Dune.
So. It's just Dune. It's just Dune, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's partially based on the movie on the
miniseries.
Taking aspects from the David Lynch film.
Really, because
for example, there are weirding modules.
So the one I'm looking at here, there's a game that came out in 2001 called Frank Herbert's Dune. That was a 3D video game based on the 2000 Sci-Fi Channel miniseries of the same name. The game was not a commercial or critical success, obviously, or else we probably would have heard of it. I guess it was also made by Cryo Interactive, but it was for PC and the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And it came out probably like later in the year of 2001 is what I'm looking at. Yeah, so CGM gave it a single star. The Electric Playground gave it a 7.5 out of 10, which is weird.
I said it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
I meant it. I played it.
Well, I'm just surprised that Tommy Tallarico or Victor Lucas would have given it such a high score. 7.5 out of 10 is kind of high compared to
apparently
the
first Dune adventure game apparently was from 1993. That a lot of people look upon that one with fondness. Apparently.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. And the guy we were talking about earlier, Gamerzak, he's the one who covered that as well. I linked that.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure I linked that on the Discord. His video of that Dune adventure game from '93.
So we have a hard stop at 5. The last thing I'd like to talk about before we go.
Hold on, real quick before we get to that. The tagline for this Dune, this Frank Herbert's Dune game is, someone said it's Tomb Raider without the puzzles, it's Metal Gear without the toys.
Ugh.
Oh boy.
Wow, that's
and it's
terrible.
A game without the fun, which is very unfortunately true of it.
Oh.
All right, go ahead.
I wanted to just talk about Shipbreaker for a second before we go. It came out today, and I streamed it for about an hour, and it's all I want to play right now because it got me thinking. As I'm playing it, I'm like, there's a similarity here between this and Deep Rock Galactic in where you go into a thing and you just destroy it. Not left and like Deep Rock Galactic, you're not destroying everything, but you're blowing up lots of stuff, and that got me thinking, like, do I want more games like this? Where a lot of people like building things in games. I think what I want is just give me something to slice up. Because I don't know if you guys have seen this game. Well, Spaz, you were probably watching the stream, but like,
oh yeah, I was there.
Slicing up a ship is amazingly fun. Like, I don't want to put it together, but have me take it apart? Absolutely. 100,000%.
Yeah, to be fair, I actually did buy the game while the stream was still going.
I saw that. That was great. And I'm just enjoying the heck out of it. Like, I just want to play it right now. I just want to slice the ships up, and it's so satisfying. So, like, maybe I gotta find more games like that, you know, where it's like instead of building things, it's like, just give me a crowbar and let me ruin things. You know,
it is kind of a spiritual successor to an extent of the Red Faction games with their geomod system and destructible environments.
I forgot about that. I should learn. I have the third one. I should load that back up because they remastered
Red Faction
it.
Guerrilla isn't as great though. That's unfortunate.
Oh no, not Guerrilla. What's the third one? Because there's Red Faction 1 and 2, and then there's the one that was on Mars.
The third one is Guerrilla, yeah.
Oh, I was liking that. But there's the fourth one that apparently wasn't.
The fourth one
good.
wasn't very good. No, the thing we tested out the remastered edition of Red Faction Guerrilla when it came out, and there wasn't really much in terms of co-op. That was why it wasn't as great. Yeah.
Oh. What about 1 and 2? Do they have co-op?
They've got multiplayer. It was PvP. And you could even do to be fair, I played on the PS2 a hell of a lot of 4-player PvP. Because it was couch co-op or couch PvP. Yeah.
Yeah, folks, I'm just gonna say, if you like taking things apart and ripping things up, I think is it Hardware Shipbreaker? Is that what it's called? The name just look up Shipbreaker on Steam.
Hard Space Shipbreaker.
Hard Space, my God, why can't I remember that? Hard Space Ship.
The same development crews who are doing the homeworld stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
There are a few people who are from who are kind of on both.
Deserts of Karak, some of the people that worked on that, I think.
Yep.
But it has nothing to do with Homeworld.
Originally, Deserts of Karak was called Shipbreakers.
That's true.
That
is true.
And then, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But as they acknowledge in the fact, but as they acknowledge in the fact, this was a separate IP, and this game, it was separate IP, but they liked the name Shipbreaker enough that they felt it just fit as they were going through the development process to this point.
Works.
And
That's
works.
Exactly what you're doing. It's exactly what you're doing. So I'm definitely going to be playing more of that one. So, folks, we're going to wrap it up around the hour mark. That was a good ramble. I don't know. Next week is probably going to be Star Wars Squadrons talk. So that's probably what I'll just set up the topic for. We'll probably have a lot to talk about there. Based on what little information we have. A lot of bitching about what tiny information they'll give us. But that's probably what we'll talk about next week. And tomorrow we're going to hit the home stretch of Mass Effect 3, starting at 6 a.m. So that'll be a good time.
Gotta get that multiplayer knocked out.
Is that what we're probably is that seem likely for tomorrow?
I think that seems like the best idea because you'll want to get that done before you start the home stretch. Because once you get into the home stretch, you don't really have the time to fit the multiplayer yet.
Yeah, there's no going back once you hit a certain point.
Yeah, he's right at the certain point, which is why I had him do Citadel DLC.
Yeah.
All
Get
right,
ready, Brian, because soon all your decisions are going to come to a head, and you'll find out what color you are.
I have to admit, without spoiling anything, the run up to that is pretty damned good.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Just let us know. Hey, Brian, all I'm going to say is let me know what color you get when you're done.
Color?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say.
I just still want
I'll be playing Mission Control for Brian up to that point.
I just still want my Garrus side game. That's all I really want in this world, is just a game where you play Garrus as a cop. That's really all I want right now. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. As always, we might, like Shogun said, do more of these promenade shows. Maybe we'll do more shows on the promenade. We gotta try that RPA GX thing too, that we talked about a while ago. See if that does anything for us. But this is kind of more fun than having a game loop in the background. I mean, when we have a guest, clearly we can't do this, but yeah. So, folks, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Again, a special thank you to all the folks that support us via Twitch and Patreon and Teespring and all that stuff. And with that, we'll see you back here tomorrow at 6 a.m. for some Mass Effect 3. And for the podcast, we'll see you next week, probably to talk about Star Wars Squadrons. Have a great one, y'all. Bye-bye.